7th of Kislev, or in the month of Kislev. So I want to address the following. The month of Kislev is known as a Chassidic month, the Chassidic Chabad Chassidic month. The reason, because of the pivotal events in the history of Chabad that occur on this day. Now, for the longest time, it was basically two events. Yutes Kislev, which marks, as you all know, the liberation of the Alter Rebbe from Tsarist imprisonment in 1798. It's also the day of the passing of the Istalkos of his master and teacher, the Maggid of Mezrich, the Mezricher Maggid Rabbi Dov Ber, the successor to the Baal Shem Tov, who sat on his deathbed, surrounded by his disciples, giving each one of them basically their task and area in Europe to bring Chassidus. He said to the Alter Rebbe, today is our day. That day he passed away, and that day, the Alter Yutes Kislev, was the day of liberation of the Alter Rebbe. Then, of course, before we go further, there's Hanukkah. Hanukkah is all about, illuminating the world. That's what Chabad is dedicated to do. And moreover, it's the oil, the miracle of the oil. That's very significant for the following reason. The Torah has many dimensions, and the two general dimensions are the revealed aspect and the hidden aspect. Torah Tanigla, Torah Tanista, the revealed aspect, which would include the halacha and the medrash and so on. And then the hidden aspect, that's Kabbalah and so on. So there are different metaphors to describe Torah. Water, for example, is the metaphor to describe the revealed aspect of Torah. Torah is compared to water in Scripture. Water is the basic stuff necessary for life, and that's the basic component of Torah, the commandments, the halachas, by which to live a godly life and carry out the purpose of creation. The bottom line is action. But Torah is also compared to wine, it's compared to milk. That's the Shavuos Association. Torah is compared, milk also very basic. A child is nurtured on milk. That is, again, a reference to the basic element of Torah. But then the inner dimensions of Torah compared to wine and to oil. Wine in general is Kabbalah. Wine goes in, the secrets come out. It reveals the inner part of a person, which is not usually revealed. Just physically, the wine is produced by squeezing the grape and revealing its juice, which is concealed and covered by the grape's skin of the grape. Yayin, furthermore, the connection to the inner dimension of Torah is in the numerical value. Yayin is Yud, Nun, 10 and 10 and 50, which is 70. And the Hebrew word for Sod, secret, which is that fourth level of Torah. You remember there's Pshat, 4 levels. And generally I said 2, but they break down into 4. Pshat, Remez, Drush, Sod, the simple, the illusions, the allegorical, the illusions, the homiletic, and the mystical. And the mystical is called Sod. And Sod, secret, Samach, 60, verse 6, Dalet 4. So 60 and 6 and 4 is also 70. So Yayin, secret, and Sod share the same same numerical value. The secrets, the wine reveals the secrets on all the physical levels, and the spiritual significance of it, the secrets of Torah. Just to remind you, these 4 levels, Pshat, Remez, Drush, Sod, they form the acronym Paradis, which means an orchard or a place where things grow. And implied here is that you have the basics, the staffs of life, like wheat and so on. Then you have the delicacies, the fruits and the rare fruits and so on that may grow in an orchard. It's a place where all things can grow, from the staples to the most exotic fruits. And that is symbolic of, from the wheat, basic halacha, all the way to the wine, the grapes, and the exotic fruits, representing the inner dimension of Torah. But oil, within the inner dimension of Torah, is even a deeper level. Oil is deeper than wine. Why is oil deeper? So first of all, we see physically the oil floats atop all liquids, so it rises above all liquids, even on top of wine. And oil represents the essence, because all organic matter breaks down to oil, petroleum, oil. And for other reasons as well, oil is the essence of Torah. More than the secrets, the essence, the very divine itself, the author, God himself, represented by the essence, by the oil. So in Hanukkah, we're illuminating the world with what? With the inner essence of Torah. That's its deeper meaning. And that's what Chassidus is. Chassidus is particularly Chabad Chassidus, it's not just inner dimension, wine, but it's the oil, the very essence of Torah, is explained at length in Chassidus, Chabad Chassidus, uniquely, which is revealed just before Mashiach comes and the essence is revealed. So that's a connection to Hanukkah, which of course begins in the month of Kislev. And there are other dates in the month of Kislev. I mentioned historically the 19th of Kislev, then there's the 10th of Kislev, the 10th and the 9th. The 10th and the 9th. So the 10th of Kislev is the day when the Alter Rebbe's son, the Mittel Rebbe, named after his teacher and master, the Maggid of Mezrich, Dov Ber, he had been framed as a traitor, treason, and he also was arrested, and he was liberated on the 10th of Kislev. That's the Chag Agul of the Mittel Rebbe, Rabbi Dov Ber. The 9th of Kislev was the day he was born and died. Age of 54, he passed away. He said before he passed away, his father, the Alter Rebbe, was also 54. He said, my father's 54, heaven gave him a choice. In order for Chassidus to be revealed, there had to be sacrifice. So he was given a choice, imprisonment or death. My father chose imprisonment, and now it's me. 54, he passed away young. It wasn't just him, mind you. The Alter Rebbe's daughter, Dvei Aleya, also gave up her life for Chassidus, as recounted. You all know the story. And she passed away in the prime of her life on the day after Rosh Hashanah, leaving her young child, Menachem Mendel, to be brought up by the Alter Rebbe, and he became, of course, the third Rebbe of Chabad, known as the Tzemach Tzedek, after whom our Rebbe is named. At any rate, so the Mittel Rebbe, a lot of tangential information. The Mittel Rebbe, Rabbi Dov Ber, the 9th of Kislev, he was born on this day and passed away on that day. Later on in history, particularly our Rebbe, for our Rebbe, there are many significant dates in the month of Kislev. The 14th of Kislev, a big celebration day in Chabad. It's the wedding day of the Rebbe and Rebbe Sachai Mushka. Of course, that's the day when his connection to us began by marrying the daughter, and becoming the son-in-law of the previous Rebbe. That's the 14th of Kislev. The 13th of Kislev, 1987, 88. Must have been 1987. The 13th of Kislev was a big day in the whole court case, if you recall, which culminated in the Yom Tov of Hey Tevis. The court case, without going into detail now, basically was that the federal court was presiding over the question, what is a Rebbe? The other side said that the Rebbe is like everybody else, an individual, and he has public office, which occupies most of his life, but he's first and foremost an individual, and therefore as a grandchild, he's entitled to some part of the estate, not all of it, but just a few books. He needs to be able to sell and alleviate his debt. My grandfather, I'm entitled as a grandson. And so the court ruled that he's wrong, because a Rebbe is not a private person. A Rebbe belongs to the people. He's a soul that's connected to all Jews, like the heart. He's not just in another part of the body, but integral to the life of every limb and organ of the heart, as is the brain, the head, which is why a Jewish king is called the heart of the people. And the Rebbe is Rosh B'nai Yisrael, the head of the people. Actually, Melech, king, stands for Mayach Lev Koved, brain, heart, and liver. These are the primary organs without which a person cannot live. So that's what the role of the leader of the generation is. Not an individual, but he is connected to and gives life and inspiration and spiritual sensitivity and blessings on physical levels to all the members of the generation, every limb and organ of the body, because we're all one great spiritual body. And that was being determined in the court. What's that Rebbe? Which really came down to what is a Jew. And the Shoma, and all Jews are connected, and they're connected in essence. And where's that revealed? It's in the Rebbe. It was dealing with what a neshama is. That was the core issue. So the thing was, what happened on the 13th of Kislev? The other side, so if the question here on the table is the deliberations, what is the Rebbe? Who is your primary witness? Is the Rebbe himself? How do you see yourself? Who is your father-in-law, the relationship? he'd be the first person to be on the dock, and that's what the other side wanted. Nothing more than to have the Rebbe interrogated. And the judge ruled that the Rebbe doesn't testify. It was an amazing thing. It was the 13th of Kislev, the news came down that the Rebbe doesn't testify. Not only doesn't testify, he doesn't have to give even a deposition, which means in the privacy of his home, a videotaped deposition, and not to be interrogated at all or asked any questions, period. It's astounding. The Rebbe and the Rebbe's wife did give a deposition at home, a 3-hour interrogation by all the lawyers and videoed, and this is played before the court. They gave her dispensations to have to appear in court, but she had to make a deposition. And the Rebbe, nothing. It was amazing. That was the 13th of Kislev. The judge rules, the Rebbe's don't touch, don't start. It's a court of law. And that was the 13th of Kislev. But very good. The answer was right there. The answer was right there. We're not dealing. Yeah, really. That's why it was such a big celebration, because wow, this was a big indication, hopefully, of things to come. And the ruling came down that no, him and the books belong to the people. There's no private taking any private share. Everything about it, Rebbe, belongs to the Jewish people. In the words of Rashi, Hanosi hu hakoil, Rashi Pashas Chukas. Hanosi, the leader, is everyone. And everyone is embodied in the leader. This is Rashi brings this in Chumash, his commentary in Chumash. That was the 13th of Kislev. And then there was also in the court case, they appealed it. In 1987, they appealed the ruling, and it was dragged out for almost another year. And finally, on the 2nd of Kislev, the books were returned to the rightful place in the World Library of Chabad, a good Chassidic Chabad, for the benefit of the Jewish people at large. So this was in the 2nd of Kislev. Again, Kislev, like a magnet to these dates. And finally, Rosh Chodesh Kislev, the biggest Yom Tov of all. In Chabad, Rosh Chodesh Kislev, I was present in 1977 on Shmini Atzeres, and the Rebbe suffered a massive heart attack, actually, too. Later that night, there was another heart attack. And I'm not going to go to the story now, but it's written, and it was the most extraordinary thing. So it was on Rosh Chodesh Kislev of that year that the Rebbe finally went home. He remained in his office. They turned it into an ICU unit. He refused to leave 770. Refused to leave the table upon which Jews poured out their heart all the years. He had to, and he refused to leave the residence of the previous Rebbe, and they turned it. They did what they had to do, and the story of Kislev is extraordinary. It's published. A lot of it has been published. Interviews with doctors and the rabbis and so on. But that day was Rosh Chodesh Kislev in 1977. Maybe it was already 78 when it was already 78 when Rebbe went home for the first time, and celebrations erupted all over the world in Chabad. Rosh Chodesh Kislev, which is the first day of the month, the head of the month. So the question we're going to address now for the next few minutes is, what's the reason for this? That the month of Kislev is a magnet to Chabad holidays, these Chassidic holidays, starting with the Alter Rebbe, the first Rebbe, and then a plethora, many such events in our Rebbe's leadership, in his tenure. Tenure, I think, is temporary, right? Not necessarily. It's eternal tenure. But at any rate, why the month of Kislev? So briefly, the answer is this, friends. Concepts we're all familiar with, and that is, everybody knows that there are two beginnings to the Jewish year. There's Tishrei and there is Nisan. Tishrei is the beginning of the year, but not the first month. It's month number 7. And Nisan is the first month. In Torah, the months don't have names. They just have numbers from 1 to 12. The names came much later. We now call it Tishrei and Nisan. So why the two beginnings to the Jewish calendar? It's confusing. The simple answer is, as you all know, because these two beginnings mark two different events, very different events. Nisan marks the beginning, the birth of Nisan, the month of the Exodus, the birth of the Jewish people, correct? And Tisha Shoshana marks the birth of humanity, creation, Adam and Eve. That's the simple reason. But going deeper, as we've explained, why two beginnings? There's two stages in our relationship with God. First is from above to below, and the second stage is from below to above. Above to below means God to us, And below to above means us reaching out to God. So stage one is God to us. Historically, God came down and took us out of Egypt despite ourselves. Many refused to go and didn't, and the ones that did was touch and go. But God brought them out. That's birth. No one has a choice in being born. You're born Jewish. You don't choose to be Jewish. You're born Jewish. A righteous convert also really doesn't choose. It's something that they are because they have a Jewish soul and will come out one day, sooner or later. It's irrepressible because that's who the person is. And there's no choice in that. The person is chosen, as it were, by Hashem. So that's one beginning. God says, I've chosen you. You're my representatives on earth. And I've granted you this neshama. That's stage one. But stage two is we have to choose God. A person is born Jewish, very good. So he's Jewish forever. But what are you doing about it? A relationship has to be two ways. So I have shown that I love you and want you. I want you to choose me. And that's Rosh Hashanah. That's making God as king. It comes from the people. It's all from below to above. We explained all these things at length. The seasons reflect this. The names of the month reflect this. All of the details reflect these two movements from above to below, which is Nisan, and below and from below to above, which is Tishrei. The name Tishrei, Tav Shin, they shoot. It's from the back of the alphabet to the front. And the whole idea of making God as king, that's all created by the people. Pesach is not about king. Pesach is about father and redeemer, which is all God's doing. But Rosh Hashanah is not about father and redeemer, although we do refer to God as father, but our father, the king. The emphasis is melech, because the whole king relationship is created by the people, which culminates in the blowing of the shofar, etc., which we're all familiar with. Now, 3 months after the Exodus is the giving of the Torah, the month of Sivan. The Talmud emphasizes that the significance of the number 3. The Talmud says, blessed be the all-merciful, the Holy One, blessed be He, who gave a 3-part Torah, Tanakh, to a 3-part people, Ken Levim Yisrael, by third born, Moishe, in the 3rd month, Sivan, on the 3rd day of separation. That was the giving the Torah 3 days after they were to separate husband and wife. 3, 3, 3, 3, 3. What's the significance of 3? Because the whole point of the Torah, giving the Torah, is, as we all know, is to bring heaven down to earth. Fusion. So 3 represents fusion. 1 is 1, 2 is division, and 3 is harmony. That's why Yaakov is the harmony. Number 3 is the harmony of Avram and Yitzchak. He embodies both qualities, and that's perfection. So 3 represents unity, fusion between 1 and 2. That's why perhaps the Hebrew word for peace, shalom, the shin has 3 strokes coming to a base at the bottom, because peace, and that's why the peace symbol even, I think, for the world is this. The peace symbol is 3 fingers. No, 2 is victory, but 3 is peace. And I can tell you why. Because victory means we defeated them. But peace is, now we become one. The 2, we harmonize. That's what 3 is. Not sure if that's anybody realize that, but everything is divine providence. I'm explaining the significance of the peace symbol, which of course was very popular in the 60s and during the hippie era, etc. So it failed, unfortunately, because it's not guided by Torah. It ends up in debauchery and drugs and self-destruction for the most part, or they just give up and become, go into business and become lawyers and doctors. But for that movement to endure in old movements, many of them would start with good ideas. It needs Torah to guide them. It's got to be based on Torah. But that's an aside. All to say that 3 months, therefore, after the giving of the Torah, 3 months after the Exodus, is God comes down and gives us the Torah. That movement from above to below, where heaven and earth fuse, it's in month number 3. Clear? Month number 3. The meeting point of heaven and earth. Specifically, the 1st month God took us out. The 2nd month we start working and counting and refining ourselves, responding to that revelation. The counting of the Omer, self-refinement. In month number 3, therefore, is the fusion. God gives the Torah. And the same is true, therefore, we understand that much deeper why Kislev, which is the 3rd month after Tishrei. Tishrei, Cheshvan, Kislev. So now what happens, all these Chassidic revelations happen during this time. Why? Because again, it's fusion. But what is the fusion? Not from above to below, from below to above. What's Chassidus? Chassidus is being at Mount Sinai when the giving of the Torah happens. Every mimer is that, except not being blown away by God coming from below to above, but studying it in the mimer and learning it and grasping this and experiencing it to whatever degree we can ourselves through our effort, through our study. Chassidus opens up the heavens. It's being at Sinai and experiencing the divine revelations and all the sublime attributes of God, all explained in Chassidus. But how? Not coming to you, blowing you away. Through my effort, through study, through learning, page after page, and question from below to above. So the month of Kislev is the fusion between the completion, the culmination of Rosh Hashanah, which is coronating God as king, and man becoming one with God. But this time the direction is this way. Whereas Nisan, third month, was the culmination coming to us from above to below. So that's the deeper reason why the month of Kislev is naturally the month, starting with the Alter Rebbe and then with our Rebbe, so many very important dates that happen in this month, because it's the third month after Tishrei, which means it's the culmination of man reaching out and becoming one. Peace, three, one, whole, fusion between man and God, this time through our effort from below to above. That's why there's an argument in the Talmud when Mashiach is going to come. It's going to be for the month of Nisan or Tishrei. And essentially their argument is that Mashiach going to be a revelation that comes from above completely and blow us away, or will it be through our effort? Of course, the answer is a combination of both. It's a combination of both. All right, so that's some significance of this great month, and maybe a month of miracles, and may Hashem grant there should be many miracles. Just want to add something for those who were in shul yesterday, because some people asked me a question afterwards. I was talking about the miracle of the fact that Hezbollah did not attack at the same time as Hamas did on October 7th. And just recently, Israel discovered all of the plans for this attack that were going to come all the way to Nahariya. They planned, it was the same plan exactly, to kill and take hostages. Exactly the same thing. And if this would have happened, we were unprepared in the south and unprepared in the north. And they did it simultaneously, disaster would have been beyond imagination. So this was a great miracle. So this has to be acknowledged. And people say, yeah, great miracle. What happened in the south? What happened? A miracle that happens in the north does not negate what happens in the south. But my point yesterday was that what happened in the south, I mean, we got to be careful here, because it's not a question of blame, and we don't look at the past. We can learn from the future, but it should never have happened. We surrendered, we gave it up, we gave it away, and we invited it. And that's what every ceasefire has done since the dawn, since the beginning of the creation of the state. The same mistake is repeated again and again and again and again. Nothing's completed. There's ceasefire, they stopped 67, 73, 82, and all it did was a lull before the next hostility and bloodshed and murder, like happened, World War I was the same thing, which is why World War II, the Allies said, there's no ceasefire. We're going to destroy Germany until they surrender. There's no need to bomb Dresden. There's no need at the end. They went all out. Germany capitulated, essentially. But no, there's no ceasefire. World War I was a ceasefire. And a ceasefire just gave Germany time to rearm, and World War II and the Holocaust was the result. And World War II was the end of Germany, divided up. And now, once completely destroyed, now reunited, and one of Israel's greatest allies, only because it was destroyed thoroughly, no trace of Nazism left whatsoever. Whatsoever. It's illegal in Germany to wave the Nazi flag. It's illegal. And the same thing, Hamas and Hezbollah, the only victory is in total destruction. A ceasefire is the most, all the ceasefire means is it legitimizes, you're legitimate, and we're recognizing you as valid, and we're stopping now to give you a chance to rearm and attack us again. That's what it means. A child should figure this out. But crazily, we keep on doing it again and again. So I'm saying, quite literally, had we not surrendered Gush Katif and our control over Gaza, there would never been October 7th. So despite us, God is doing these miracles. We got to learn from it. We got to be grateful and thankful, and we need to learn the message of the Maccabees, the message of Hanukkah. There's no compromise. We go to the end, and then there's victory and peace. Our enemy actually becomes our ally when he thoroughly, completely respects us, like Germany. Today is Israel's ally. All right. A wonderful day, wonderful week, Shavuot Tov, miracles, Mashiach, redemption. That's what we're all waiting for, dear Eibishter. Enough. And reunited with our loved ones. The hostages returned. It's not enough either. We need everybody returned. Those who were taken from us returned and reunited here in the world, perfected and redeemed. Amen.